So now it's starting to record. All right.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So last time you had questions about, your main questions was about, based on what happened on March 26th, right?
Yeah.
And what I saw was, well, several things. I actually decided to focus on your how areas of your life pertaining to that. So like your self-worth, your health, and also reputation. I think those are big ones. So um, yeah, I'm just gonna share the chart here. I'll show you what I mean. Let's see. Okay, so we're in this one. I actually decided to look into. Let's go with the second house. So this is the second house right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's right, this one right here.
Yeah.
So typically, I'm actually just looking at your birth chart, and I mean that's still part of you. That's a strong part of you, even though you have changed quite a lot. You still have that sort of, we talked about it before. Your past life, anything to do with the past, you kind of carry it through today, which is like it's a big thing because it's tied to your second house, which is like self-worth. You know, there's especially the moment you start going back into like things that well, a lot to do with money. It's almost like the past life sort of stuff comes through again because it's like if you make money, it's almost like um are people going to talk about me, and it's just am I it's almost like anger comes through. And that's what I see here with Pele here. It's about rage. It's also about more like angry, as in like not rage, but like anger towards the little things because it's in Virgo. Um, Sorry, I lost my little chart there. Okay, so Pele. Oh, where did my chart go? Huh. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So Pele is she was like the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes. So it's all about eruptions, all about like expressing anger, but it's sort of like an uncontrolled sort of anger. Um, the way in our charts when we have Pele, she's about really controlling that, and it's really temperament, tempering your temper. I don't know if that makes sense. Let's see here. So it's because what the thing with Pele is she's about passions, right? So she's a lot about jealousy, temperament, irrational and irritability, but also mastering that. And she's also about wrath, by the way. So it's like real anger, right? So it's power struggles as well, supremacy, intensity, creation, and destruction. Um, with it being in your second house, it's because it's tied to your south node. It's almost like if you're if you only get stuck in the south node, like things that you are very skilled at and learning how to master your emotions, because your north node was in Pisces, right? So that means you're now being welcome to actually embrace your anger, and what it can do for you, right? So yeah, so Pele is that it's mastery of emotions, especially like the lower emotions. Um, so I don't know if you ever worked with anything with related to fire. Like, did you ever do any of that? No, okay. Like your ability to earn money. How did you? I feel like you earn money through, um, at least when you were younger. Like you earn money through. What is this one here? Something to do with like inflammation. I don't know if it was like in the. I can't say. Oh, because it's Virgo. Could be in the medical field.
Uh, I
Did you
work in
work
that
in?
right now.
Oh, okay, so you do still work in. Okay, that's how you. Okay, yeah. Um, and what else is here?
Huh.
So you work, but in the past, did you work with anything like? Okay, I'm going to list some of them. Like maybe, did you work with dogs? Did you work with? Elderly people. You work with older people in your in the hospital in an elderly home. Is it?
Uh,
No.
about maybe, well, when I was younger, no, but about maybe 8, 9 years ago, I did.
Okay. Okay, that's
I
a
worked.
possibility. Okay.
Yeah.
Something. Okay. Something also with like heat. Somewhere around heat could be steaming, steam cleaning, steam. What do you call those? Like crematories, cremations. I don't know if you've ever worked with that.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Earth science. Maybe you also worked with something like earth science, like the earth. That could be possible. I mean, anything is possible. All these things show the possibility that you could have gone in this direction, but you are now in this specific direction. So that's a possibility. However, you earned money was through kind of like related to not just fire, but volcanoes, forest, wildfires, uh, firefighting. That could be also part of that. Things to do with lava, things to do with stones, ground, those kind of things. Maybe in Hawaii, something related to Hawaii, hula dancing, something to do with yeah, fire firefighting, what says it, charcoal. Okay, that's kind of still fire. Global warming stuff. I don't know, but
Mm-mm.
it's definitely related to that. But with
Huh.
Delphine there's another possibility that let me see. So something with well, your the psychic powers, that's part of that, but it's also like, let's see here. Mm, have you ever applied any sort of, no, because you're new to psychic stuff, so uh
Well, I think I've
sure.
always had the psychic stuff. I just didn't realize it until a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it also depends on what's opposite of Chiron. Sorry, the North Node, Delphine, Pele right here. Hmm. I don't know. Definitely like the little things for sure. I don't know. Like something to do with like for sure, like you said right now, you said you're working at the hospital or something related to health, you know. It's still or little things like maybe a little specific jobs. You
Uh,
had small jobs
I
like
do you want to know what I do right now, or
no. I'm just wondering because I feel like it's
oh
something to do with like maybe part-time jobs or like a temp. You had those? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's at least that's the Virgo thing. But definitely like gossiping is still part of that. But you kind of already know how to work with that energy, even though they might talk about you. Um, that's not a problem. But in terms of what happened on that day, um, several things actually happened. First of all, we have let's see here. It's almost like you had questioning. Mars Saturn's a big one here because it's almost like you were questioning the limitations of what happened. There was a part of you that started to go like, in a way, it was kind of how to explain this one. It's you were unsure about the security that you would have from that situation, from what happened. It's almost like, where's my money going to happen now? Where's my money coming in now? There's a it's that was one of that. It's something to do with, yeah, and it's almost like maybe you didn't know who to trust because you something happened, and it's like maybe there was a bit of like, it's almost like you had all this block right here. All of these planets are retrograde. So Makemake, you were starting to have this internal voice, internal like so many thoughts coming through, and or rather, it was, you were wondering about like, what does this all mean? And then you probably didn't get a lot of like, you didn't get like, maybe you had to get your own. Did you have to sort of figure out things on your own? And what happened that day? Like you weren't really getting help from it.
Yeah, I was.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
See here, because panacea is like, panacea represents like cures, treatments, therapies. But it's in retrograde, so it's almost like you had to do it through word of mouth or through people you weren't getting help from, like the system.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So inflammation, that was part of that, and it kept happening. There was a lot of inflammation happening. Um, Maybe you went through different kinds of medication, like little here and there. You tried different things, maybe. Um, you did have to go through a bit of surgery, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
says here. Yeah. So panacea is, I don't know, it was physiotherapy, possibly a bit of physiotherapy. I'm not sure. Definitely psychotherapy. You went through a bit of that, I suppose. Um, Maybe were you using like balms and salves and ointments, liniments, lotions?
At that time, no.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Alcohol. Did you go to a
Yeah.
hospice? Okay. Okay. Rehabilitations. Did you go through any sort of rehabilitation, like in an actual center?
Not in an actual center, no.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I mean, I guess kind of I did because I went through drug court. That was the end of my drug addiction, and I got forced to go into drug court, which was kind of a psychotherapy system for a year to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that would be it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Um. So what was it that you said? So it was Virgo. So well, it's showing me Virgo is the stomach area, but you're saying that it was your face, right?
Yeah.
Uh, let's see
In
here.
every one of my readings, you talk about my stomach area. That's crazy. Yeah, that's so crazy.
Why? Why is that?
I just like my stomach. I don't know. It just kind of, that is something that I resonate with, the stomach
Okay.
area, having problems
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm. What is this? There's something about this placement too. So Delphine is still there in retrograde, but in your own chart, she wasn't retrograde. So it's almost like maybe you had an internal sort of voice that kept telling you, it's like, oh, what will the people think of me now, kind of thing. It's almost like you were creating your own little gossip inside you. Um, let's see here. I'm going to go back to Delphine. Uh, so a lot of it was probably like very destructive, internal destruction, internal destructive behavior. Maybe a lot of your shadow was triggered.
Yeah.
Maybe you had to really like work through the lies and deceits and sort of like, what is true, what isn't true, right? That's Delphine. He's the one who we he's a discerning side of us. Excuse me. What was like what's true or not, what's not true. You had that internal battle. especially like shadow work, definite shadow work, because you have Lilith there. So you had to
Yeah.
go through these, yeah, and you had to kind of like, it was one of your darkest times for sure.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like your inner demons were there, and you had to wonder, do I accept these demons? And as they are, being especially being Scorpio, you're like, I don't want to be a bad person. You know, I don't want to be this kind of like, I don't want to blame the fucking world for it. I don't want to be like, I don't want to destroy the world. You know, it's probably very destructive little things. Like that's the thing about Virgo. It's like it gets when it becomes negative, Virgo tends to go into the nitpicky of things. And it's almost like you the way Virgo projects itself to the world is it stops serving and it becomes this sort of energy of like I'm gonna work on myself. Fuck y'all because I've given you enough. And then Virgo just goes, I've had it. Because you know, especially like maybe in a past life, right? You were like help there for other people, um, but you never got any sort of appreciation or validation, right? And also that became kind of like it affected your love language, like the way you spoke to yourself. This is love language. Valentine's is how we give or not give love to ourselves, and also to others. It's how we communicate and express love. Not really speaking, but it is a specific language. So that's Valentine's. Because Valentine is all very, it's all about the expression of love itself. It's pure. Um, and so in a way, you were probably like nitpicking at things about yourself. You're probably working at your, maybe you were kind of like maybe using little, maybe you were spending on the little things to get better. Um, Let me see here. Makemake, it's almost like you had this internal conflict and battle within you, and you had like two sides of yourself that went. There's a part of you that hated yourself. There's a part of you that like did the opposite, complete opposite. Like I'm deserving of this. But either way, it's all shadow. Um, and so it's almost like you had this like awkward limitations that you imposed on yourself. And it's like I don't. Maybe you even stopped working. It's almost like I don't want to help people. I don't want to do this job. I don't want to do that. Um, but it was something that you really, because these are all in conjunction, these are all in like one area. It's to me, it means that it's like, you eventually came through with the shadow stuff. I want to see if there's, okay. This is where it starts to get interesting. So so you have 1 degree there. So this limitation with Saturn, or rather the opposite, not opposite, but kind of like uncertain limitations, like where you draw the line, was not like you didn't find a way, you couldn't draw the line, especially like with maybe your children, I don't know, or you were as a mother, you know, because this is the house of children right here. So it's almost like, I forgot what Egeria, I have Egeria here. Egeria is, I just recently saw her today. Egeria is prophecy, sacred knowledge, and change. Anti-system knowledge. It's let's see here. So you're probably getting learning from the experience of whether you should be this mother that you maybe your children expected of you or that they wanted you to be, but there was a lot of like truth coming out in terms of like how you were supposed to express your anger. A lot of it is definitely like geared to like, it's I would say something to do with your children, and your, or at least you as a child itself. Maybe if your parents were still alive then I'm sure, I don't know if are they still alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So it's probably bringing on issues of like anger and like, who's going to take care of me? I'm the one taking care of other people. And then you kind of learning from that and learning wisdom from that. It's almost like you had to be forced to take care of yourself. And but you had that struggle and you're like wondering, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how am I going to maintain this? Where's this stability? Um, and so then you went back into this whole South Node thing where it was just like, I don't want to. It's almost like you were trying to ground yourself, maybe. I don't know. Did you get into some sort of, did you kind of revert to any drug use?
Yes, I was a drug addict. That's why it happened.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, because it's still it's still Virgo. But the anger there here typically means that you normally go there. But then new stuff start coming in and you're like, anger, and then blame and powerlessness struggles, and you're questioning your nurturing and sort of those. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get the picture? It's kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling. That's what I feel it is. And you're definitely learning from that, though. You had to learn from it by sort of like, what do you call this? You had to be shown who was your shadow by mirroring other people, and you had to kind of question like, what the hell is going on? So maybe there's a part of you that knew that how you were handling it wasn't like the healthiest way, and then there was another side of you that's just like, fuck it. So um yeah, and then it started bringing up, of course, wounding, because you have here the 2 degrees, 2 degrees of Aries. The wounding started coming back up, especially with the Pluto series portion here. It means that, that's wounding of like being out of place. I'm not able to be myself, but at the same time, there's this sort of resentment that started to, and it kind of made you feel like you're maybe you were you started to get vindictive, possibly. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not really sure about that. Let's see. You look at Saturn. Where's Saturn here? Oh, okay. Well, instead of it being about vindictiveness, it was more like, because you have, okay, so you have these are on placements, right? It's in Capricorn. So what we do is we look into Saturn for that one. But your Saturn was in Taurus. So that means that you probably went through like food. Were you like, was there a part of you that um, maybe you didn't even go through food? Maybe you were starving yourself?
No.
No, you weren't? Okay.
But no, I wasn't. Well, I mean, probably after it happened, I got so depressed. I remember I did lose some weight and stuff. I couldn't eat very
Uh-huh.
well. I
Yeah.
do remember getting really skinny after that.
Okay. I'm not saying
Actually.
it's intentional, but it is Taurus, so it's food.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So, yeah, you might have gone through different sort of types of like, it's not escape, but like way to deal with that sort of nurture. But it's almost like it's a huge internal battle. Um, Maybe you even not even just food. It's not even really food. Maybe you bought things. You were kind of were you spending on other things that you didn't need, on things that you didn't need?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a
Okay,
lot of
that's
that.
one. Okay, that's one thing too. That's a possibility. Okay, good. So you did that. Okay.
Oh.
So yeah, that's what I see. That's the big one. Um, so what I see from this one is, because we're talking, because your main question was like, what is it that I'm going through? How is that carrying over to today? Well, technically, we look into the your own birth chart for that one. Um, I kind of wanted to try something, but I'm not sure if I could do it today, because it's like what I could do is I could reverse the time, like the time, like from the time you're born compared to your past life. I saw that today. I saw that a few days ago. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago, where we can reverse the time. We can have your birth chart, and then we would have to go. We could go back in time and figure out what is it that I don't know how to do that yet. So I'm still
Oh.
quite new to it. So I don't know. I don't know because we don't know what the past is. All we know is this is what I have. This is what happened. So I feel like there's not going to be a lot of evidence. But if we could, first it has to be the. So when we're doing the psychic stuff, when we're doing like channeling, psychic mediumship, all that stuff, a lot of it has to be like, first of all, one, elevating the frequency and then surrendering as well. And at the same time, setting the intention. Like, what is it about my past? Because, like, there's no guarantee that if I look up what's called like it's called a converse solar arc. It means that you're going back in time to see maybe I don't know. I think it's something to do with choices, like what choices you made in the past that led to this. Because if I went through it and I kind of went back, let's say, I don't know, 200 years and compared it to your chart, I don't know how that would work. I'm still new to it. I don't, that's why I said I don't know. Because maybe there's something in the past that does affect you today. What I do know is based on what I saw before here with your, what was it, the chart, the other chart we did when we were talking about, let's see here. What was that one? Actually, let me close this one for a second. I think I opened it up here. Nope, that's not it. Let's see. Did I keep it here? Stars, nope. Ah, your nodal return. Okay, I'll open that one. The one we did like I think 2 sessions ago.
Mm.
Um, and it was second. It's not opening up. So in your south node, okay. So in your south node, so Lamea, Ganymede, Moira, Amalthea, Tyche. So I don't know how that ties in because it's in your second house. But I think there's a part of that experience with your south node in the past, especially with Lamea there. She's about like she's basically like abortion. She's about abortion, pregnancy issues, those kind of things. Here I'll show you. This was your nodal return chart. Well, parts. Um, and what I see here in your south node, these were from your past life. It could be an earlier life, but also past life as well. So the Lamea there is showing me the loss and the sort of like something was taken away from you, like out of your will, like especially when it was something very important.
Hmm.
Maybe you were, or maybe you were taken. Maybe you were slaved. So I can see how that kind of affects you today. Do you sense that sometimes? Maybe like, have you ever channeled like or not channeled, but unintentionally channeled something in the past, like in a dream? What do
Not,
you?
not that I know of. Not that I can think of,
Okay,
no.
okay. Hmm.
But I feel that. I feel like that could be a past life for sure. And I feel I was kind of going through that in my last abusive relationship too. Kind of felt like slaved.
Mm, okay. Definitely something to do with money too, though. So maybe you were sold to slavery, or you were the one who maybe, because usually when it comes to karma, the reason we have what we have today is like, let's say it's a loss. It's because in the past life we did the opposite. So for poor today, it's almost like in the past it's a kind of like a payback. We shouldn't hoard things because in the past, in a past life, we stole money or we hoarded money. It's usually the opposite, something that happens. So this is our soul wants to journey and see, okay, well, this life I'm going to test it. I'm going to learn from that. So I'm going to test myself. That's what the soul does when it enters this new reincarnation. It wants to learn from that and experience. I never been poor, so now I understand. Okay, so it's almost like it's not trying to be a story. It's not trying to make amends. It's just the way the soul wants to go. Okay, I'm doing the opposite of that, so that way I understand that there's a reason why I did that. Because it could have been also in a previous life before that previous life that it's like you didn't there was a part of you that didn't really know and appreciate poorness or lack of money or lack and finding the gifts in that. So you were very it was like an unconscious behavior, unconscious experience, unconscious behavior, unconscious choices. So therefore in the next life that unconsciousness went boom, nope, I was poor in a past life, I'm gonna be fucking rich, but I'm gonna do it whatever however I can to steal money from people and corrupt and all. So it's still unconscious, but the soul's purpose is to learn from those things and evolve. And if we don't, we go back as in, I don't know, you remember Dolores Cannon, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She says like you go back. If you fail the class, you go back. That's what it is. So, but how that ties into like how you feel about the camera makes probably some has something to do with like shame. There's a part of that as well. In a past life, there was something sort of like shame because you were probably like Amalthea, you're probably wealthy. Taiki is also you're very fortunate. That's a possibility. Um, and so in this life, there's a part of you subconsciously going like, hmm, I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't want to be, especially with Virgo there. Virgo doesn't like that much. It does like appreciation, but it's like it just wants appreciation for the little things. So if it doesn't, yeah. Do you see what I'm saying here? Because it's like it's not like it's hiding from anything, but there is that sort of thing. It feels like there's a part of you that nitpicks at your own your sense of self worth.
Yes.
Yeah, and that when you get stuck in that, it goes against your where you're supposed to head it towards, which is to be of unconditional service to the world, but more spiritual in this case. You're not supposed to teach anyone now. It's most like you're supposed to experience it. What lessons did you learn from your past life and past lives so that now you can go further and show them healing? Remember, we talked about how there was Chariklo here, you had child here. It's more about being in the present moment and healing from those wounds that naturally here. It's like you kind of doubt your own healing abilities, but there's a way around that where I think it's one of those. This is why child is here. It's just your soul chose this and said, "No, just go for it. Who cares, right?" Um, sorry. Yeah, which in turn is like it actually coincides with this placement. You have Horus here as well. Horus Hercules. So even though the past life you were more about little things that you would do, nitpicking at things and being analytical, you can use that to your advantage and say, okay, then I'll do the little things, but not be too nitpicky and just learn to let go what needs to be released and then work on it. Especially with your clairs here, you're like saying, okay, that will help me with this path that this path forward. I may not know how to heal. Like, what modality do I use? Like, I've been going through that myself. It's like I was always stuck on modality, like astrology. And no, it's not about me being an astrologer. Like, what is, an FTP, they say that. It's like, what is your medicine? So I would say, have you posted anything on social media or anything like that? Or do you use it?
Yeah, I have social media. I haven't actually posted a video yet. That's what I'm struggling
Okay.
with.
Okay. You could post the little things that just allow yourself to be curious and work on it. If you get like, just try it out and test it out and have fun with it. Just go crazy. Like, even if it's like without you on the camera, at least like a picture of you and then talk, you can do that. If it's being in front of the camera that bothers you, because you can always do it simply. Like, you can do it like little things, like just picture here, and then maybe in the month after, you can do like a short snippet of like you go, hello everyone, this is a video, and then you close it right away. You make whatever, it could be the next month or the next week, whatever you feel called to doing, right? But it has a lot to do with working hard at it. Like, working hard at it's like going through the trials of, especially with this ego and self-expression here, right? The sun Mercury placement here with Neptune. Use the magic of Neptune by kind of, I don't know, do you feel like remember we talked a lot before, we talked a little bit about like music, or do you do anything artistic? What do you do?
Like
Forgot.
dance?
Dancing, right? Okay.
Yeah, dancing.
What do you do when you're dancing? Like, how do you dance? Like, what did you take before? Or is it, what have you done with dancing? Like, what did you learn about dancing?
I learned well that it's the way I express myself. It's how I express myself. It's how my energy. I think it's how
Yeah.
I like manage my energy.
Okay. Sure. Then maybe, how do you feel about recording that?
Dancing. Oh, yeah. I'm not shy. I could get in front of the camera and dance, no problem. But if I'm actually have to talk, that's when I can't do it.
Yeah. What you
Dancing.
can
Yeah.
probably Yeah, what you can probably do is like dance and then share a story in the background, like a voiceover, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know what app I don't know if you've ever experimented with an app before, like, because what I do is I edit my videos, but I try not to edit too much. It takes the fun out of it. But I think you can do that. You have the skills from your past life in Virgo by working with the technicalities of things. You can do that. It just takes, you just have to be patient with yourself. Um, and yeah, there's like, okay, I use Shotcut. Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like.
You use Shotcut to edit?
Yeah. So I'm just waiting for the app to open. I don't know if you could see it. Hold on. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. So here's Shotcut, right? So what I do is, let's say you have a file. Let's say I add, I don't know. Let's say I do, I don't know, this one recording, like this one. This one, there's this, can you hear that?
Uh, oh, no, I can't hear her.
Okay, anyways, that's fine. She's not talking. I was the one talking. But so here, it's a simple thing. Like, you just go track operation, insert track. And then here on top, you can do like actually this should be on top here, because it's this, whatever's on the front is at the very top of this list of the output thingy here. I don't know if I can't zoom it in, but, and at the bottom you could do like a voiceover. You can just like, what do you call this? Open a file and like a, not audio tone. I don't know, some kind of voiceover. So that's an example Like you see how there's a layer. The point I'm making here is that there's layers, right?
Okay.
So yeah, and so what that does is, if you have a layer and you could do a voiceover, that means that parts of you, it's really like tinkering with the whole thing, allowing yourself to tinker with it. You don't have to do what I do, because mine's takes a while. There are apps. Apparently, it's not CapCut. CapCut is okay for people. It's probably easier than Shotcut. So, you could do that, and you could just do short videos too. You don't have to do like long ass like da, 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 da. You could do like, you never know, because maybe it'll be longer than 5 minutes, right? So, right. So yeah, I don't know. You don't have to make those kind of videos. You can do like a video. You can do it like a GIF version of you. You could do like a short you dancing, and it'll be like a sort of, what GIF files are, right? Have you heard of GIF file? It's like
No.
short repeating animated videos.
Oh,
The one that
okay.
goes like, when you send a picture and they're like dancing like this, and it repeats the same movement. That's a GIF file. GIF. Not GIF. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Repeating
Oh, yeah,
images.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do that for yourself. It'd be like your own little it's you dancing, right? Then you can
Yeah.
add that to some of your videos, and then you can have a different background. There's different ways to go about it, where you like, however long the video is, it's however long it is. But if you were able to do the dancing like quite a lot, I think the voiceover would work for you. I think that way you don't have to necessarily like speak in front of the camera, but you're still talking about what you're doing, right? If it's but because it's Pisces, it's more like, maybe share your journey. Share your journey of like growing into your psychic abilities. Possibly you can do that, as long as you're sharing something. It's really about the whole, like, what do people see in you, and then something will come up. Your medicine will come up somehow, right? It'll be like, I don't know. I feel like your medicine has a lot to do with that, not only what you experienced back in March 26, 2010, but like how now you're able to make these changes in your life. That is like, it has a lot to do with the journey, rather than, when we look at the chart, it's not really about like, oh, I need to be spiritual, I need to be childlike right away. No, it's the journey. That's the goal. That's the sort of a goal. That's the outcome. Forget the outcome. It's your experience, right? I'm gonna
Hmm.
go further into this one, and I think I saw a bunch of other. There was Charcoal's Child. Wasn't there something else? I
I
thought there was.
appreciate that, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Work through like, oh, we have here on your nodal return. I think this was dated on, for August 5. Okay. But you're not going through that right now. This
Mm.
is all, yeah, these are all like stuff in the future. Don't worry about that one. But yeah, I would say just start with it. Because I mean, when August 5, when your nodal return, when it is time for your nodal return, I see a lot of like internal processing of your talents, of your sovereignty, your own, being wild. It's like an internal processing. Like it'll come to you and be like, you kind of wonder, is this going to be what's going to happen? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? You start to question that as well, because it's retrograde. I see a lot of retrograde here. But even though that may be the case, then share that too. Share that, the whole like, a retrograde is usually, when I say retrograde, I mean it's the part of us that goes like, it's like a broken record. We become a broken record to ourselves. It's like, I don't know, I don't know. Do I? I don't know. Do I? It tastes like you're repeating it. Like you know when you check the door back and again and again and again. Did I lock the door? Did I lock the door? That's a retrograde effect. Yeah, like overthinking, awkwardness with with emotions or with people or any sort of aspect of humanity, any of it. It repeats itself and it kind of like this sort of like insecurity. That's a retrograde effect. Yeah. So this also means that you continue to heal yourself anyways. So you continue to grow, but it's really about being childlike and really like being present, right? And just enjoy the whole thing. So if you're dancing for sure, like do you do specific types of dances? Like do you no? Okay.
No,
How do you okay.
I just turn the music on and dance.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, that could also be part of like an intro video. Part of your part of intro video, part of like the part of your video itself. That's where you feel like you can dance and you can just talk here and there, as long as you're heard, though, of course. Maybe you want to have a mic here on yourself beside you, like this. You know, those like what do you call those small mics, like you attach to your shirt here. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can do that and just continue dancing, whatever you're doing, and then just and like, hi, welcome to my channel. It's just an idea. It's just something that came to mind.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm
there you
definitely
go. And
gonna.
then
Yeah.
yeah. And then whatever you want to share for that day, then you go like, da da da, this is what I discovered today, or this is doesn't have to be that literal, like I'm going to tell you what I did today. No, just go share it right away. Just go like, so this is what I thought, you know, or this is what I'm going through. Like, and the more vulnerable you are, the more people will resonate with that, right? Because you're also helping them. Because this isn't about you teaching them. This isn't about you teaching. This is about you letting go and trusting. Your goal is in your North Node in Pisces means you're letting go and trusting that process of like whatever inspiration comes through and being trusting, trusting in that actual energy that is outside of yourself. Okay. So is that kind of sometimes still a little like, because it's uncertain? Do you still feel like that sometimes? Like does it
Yeah.
feel hmm. Can you
Yeah.
describe that even more? Like, what do you mean? How do you feel about that? Like when
About what you just said about doing
you
that,
like,
like dancing
yeah, like
and
and not only that, but like the general path that you're moving forward to when you're feeling like you're being called to do something. Like even just posting a video itself, like what emotion goes through you? What is it that you're feeling?
fear,
How so? What do you mean?
fear of judgment.
Yeah, okay. And where do you think that comes from? Close your eyes and see what it feels like. Where is it in the body? And then what is it telling you? Take your while. Take your time. Go with the feeling and tell me what the feeling is telling you. Maybe a memory might come up too.
Being afraid to speak up. I
Mhm.
think the fear of being afraid to speak up and speak what's really who I really am and what I really feel and what I really believe.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you getting a memory somehow? Usually this works best when you're in a reflective meditative state,
Mm.
usually. So not right now, you don't have to, but you can try that and make a list of little things like just, not a whole paragraph, just like here and there. What is this memory telling me? And then you meditate on it, you breathe on it, and you just allow for it. You don't question like whatever comes up right away. That's you write that down. Or you
Okay.
record it. Doesn't matter. You can record it. You can record yourself the whole session and be like, I see, I sense this. I don't know where this is. So, but this image comes up, or this thought comes up, or this knowing comes up. I'm like, okay, pancakes. I smell pancakes. Where is that coming from? It's memory. It feels like, okay, my mother was there, but I was supposed to make the pancake. Sort of like, you see how it's like all comes together, it all ties in. The deeper you go, the more it's gonna be like, this isn't about accessing the memory, it's about using the process of accessing the memory through the emotions so that you can go back into further into the past, even like inner child stuff, because that carries over to how you feel today about that fear, about like judgment and being on camera. It's not even about being on camera, it's just judgment, right? Just because if it was about camera, you wouldn't even be able to dance in front of the camera. So it's not about the camera,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. It's yeah, definitely. It's still one of your biggest concerns. It's like how you package yourself. It is, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's rooted in like because it's in Leo, it's rooted definitely in your childhood stuff. Like maybe you had an uncertain environment. It was unstable. The environment you were in, it was unstable. But if you embrace that and go back to those memories of where did it feel unstable? Where did it feel insecure, uncertain? Where did you feel insecure? Where was it that your basic needs were not validated? Being able to express an emotion, express your emotions, because it was an Aquarius, but your Leo, you wanted to shine. You didn't want all that cold heartedness of your family, of the people that you were surrounded by growing up. You didn't want that. You wanted to be like, no, I don't want that. So there's a part of you that rejected that. But the moment you go into the memory of going through those childhood memories of like what is that memory? I think I mentioned the completion process to you by Teal Swan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she goes through that similar thing where she goes through the whole memory thing, and you want to create these visualizations. When you go through the process, you'll see you go through these visualizations of like I you kind of usually it helps when someone's guiding you, but usually you want to ask yourself in the memory. One of the steps in the memory is asking your child self, how does she feel? What does she want right now? You have to validate that, and it's not about the action, it's about validating the feeling. So if in the memory you're wanting to kill someone in the memory, it's not going to be a real life thing, because if we suppress that, it's gonna happen in real life. So, but in the memory, you're trying to change the story. It's kind of related to what Aaron talks about. Was it revisioning? It's called yeah, you're changing the story of the past. Even though you can't really change what happened, you can alter your perception of that memory, and then therefore more healing comes through. Yes, this is part of, yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's I'm just saying that you could do that as part of you can do the completion process, or you can meditate on it and go through the past. um I'm still new to the completion process, so I don't know, like I've kind of helped someone with it, um go through it. Like I actually read it to her and I asked her questions, and she was visualizing everything as she was going through that.
Oh.
So hmm, I'm not like a, what they call, like, I'm not trained in the completion process, but I don't mind doing it with you, where it's like it's not recorded at all. It's just, you can do that sometime, but I don't know when. So
Okay, yeah, I'm up for that when you're ready. Heck yeah.
okay, yeah,
I'd
sure,
love it.
cool. So what was I trying to say here? So how going back to the whole thing with uh with why you're afraid. I want to see what else the charts are saying. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah. Mm. Okay, cool. So we've gone through that. I'm just going back to that specific day of the accident. But let's go into another one here. Is this here another one? Well, you might have felt there's the sudden change. That's where Osiris comes in. It was sudden, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Because Osiris represents dismemberment.
It represents what?
Dismemberment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because sorry to say that, but I mean that's what yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have Osiris conjunct my north node. So sometimes I'm wondering, am I supposed to be in an accident?
Oh,
I'm
oh,
like,
man.
I don't know. But I do have my north node and Osiris square. So it's a challenging aspect to my Chiron in Taurus. So I have a disconnection between like my ears because Taurus rules the head part right here and also the ears. So I have a hearing loss here on my right. So there's an
Oh,
imbalance, but that also ties in with the Osiris thing. I was born with a cleft lip palate, like a split. Um, I didn't realize that had something to do with Osiris. Oh, it has something to do with Odin. Yeah, Odin is the mouth. Actually, I should put that in here. Odin is the mouth because he's about knowledge and communication. I'm going to put that in here. Yes, sir. 1 second. It's just part of my process where it's like I. oh, No, I'm gonna close that file and I'm gonna do that later. Actually, I'm just gonna save that as part of my notes. Odin also. Okay, got it. Anyways, so yeah, so that explains the whole separation thing. And I guess it was. I shouldn't have done this. I don't know why I sometimes do this to myself. I add in asteroids that I don't really know much about, but based on what I can find, let's take a look. So it's the asteroid called Volcano. Uh, 1 second here. Hmm. Sorry, 1 second. Myth. So Vulcan, his name is Vulcan, the god of fire. Hmm. Okay. Connected to lightning, flames. Um, let's see here. His name was Wikanos Kurd Smith, something to do with. Was there soldering included? Was there a bit of soldering included in the process?
like, soldering my bones back together.
Yep,
Is that what you mean?
yep.
Yeah, I busted my jaw, so they were put together with some steel plates. I'm not sure what they
Okay,
had to do in there, but I wouldn't be surprised.
okay. Because it shows that we have you had a lot of Ate is just chaos. Ate, I don't know how to pronounce her name. But she was the daughter of um Ares or Zeus and Eris. So she was like completely like just chaos. But when she, let me 1 second here. I want to see what it is physically. because it was transiting your Niobe is loss of like grief. You probably had to go through a lot of grieving, but a lot of like it's sort of internal chaos, specifically like community wise, like your friends probably there's a lot of chaos um or rather you had help from your friends or a sort of community back then. I don't know which one it is. All I see is that Ate was there, so that means it's like chaotic. Um, 1 second here. Uh, 1 second. Asteroid. What's her number? 111. Okay, so if I go 111, I'll be able to find her. Okay. Oh, okay. So obviously, okay, not just chaos, but insecurities.
Yes. All of
Yeah.
that.
So, but also insecurities with connecting with people and society, possibly like with the money earned from your boss from the job you were in. Um, but for some reason, talent is here too. Or so right here, talent is here. So that means that you're still able to go through it, even though it was kind of uncertain. It was kind of like you're questioning your security. You have cancer there. It's almost like your home environment with the with the with communities that you're in, any groups that you're in, any sort of any even friends, just friends in general. Um, there was a lot of that. Yeah, it's an internal conflict, questioning, insecurities, deception. Definitely ruin was part of that as well. So, um, but I'm wondering about why it's not. Why was like jaw? Maybe it's this one. Let me go back here. Da-da. No, we're looking at transits. We're looking at the green ones here on the right. Let's see here. It could be something else. Okay, we'll go back to that. Um, okay. So it was, yeah, it was sudden, but it was, okay, there's the one. There you go. That's the one I'm looking at. It wasn't just, yeah, it was kind of, I would say it was probably like sudden in terms of like here's Vulcan right here. That's the sudden thing that happened. Something to do with like um, clamping. I don't know if it's Vulcan. I don't know. Something with metal. But like an Arachne Arachne is putting things together like this, attaching. That makes sense. And because was transiting your eighth house, it was like this. It's health related, but it's deeper than just simple health. It affected you on a psychological level. But the Osiris here shows me it's it's conjunct the ninth house, so it's it's almost like you're this detachment of the jaw because Mercury rules also communication, so it makes sense why the jaw is there. Um, but it is in Aries. Did you get headaches?
Oh, I don't remember,
Okay,
honestly.
that's fine. But I feel like it was transiting your ninth house. Did it happen in a foreign country?
No, it happened up in between Salt Lake and Ogden in Utah.
That's interesting. Not in any place where. Sorry, go
No,
ahead.
it happened in Kaysville, Utah.
So what? But was there any sort of was it during some sort of spiritual event, like something spiritual, like something related to your dreams, your visions? Uh, I don't know, maybe higher education, maybe in a place like a campus somewhere there, like higher education, academic sort of area where were
Oh,
teachers involved.
Oh, I lived right by a high school and an elementary school. If
Okay,
is that what you mean?
that could be it. Yeah.
They were right in my neighborhood, like just down the road.
Okay.
Um, but it actually happened out just a block from my house on the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it with driving? This
Y-
is
y-
Aries.
Yeah, I had been driving and I got pulled over
Mm.
by the police and then I ran.
You ran?
I ran when they arrested me with handcuffs. I ran and I tripped and I fell and that's how I broke my jaw, busted my jaw completely. Completely, it did detach, like you said
Shit.
earlier.
Okay. Yeah. But it
Yeah,
could also be, yeah, the violence there could have happened too. That explains the Aries there. It just happened. It wasn't really like sudden, but it was violent. So sorry
yeah.
to say, but that's yeah. That explains that. But I'm wondering, it's 15 degrees. It's almost like at that time, the collective South Node was kind of, in a way, influencing that in a way where maybe you had to feel a sense of security because at that time maybe people were. Um, it's like it's almost like you wanted to not you wanted to feel safe in. It's so weird. I don't know how this works because society, the North South Node at that time, the collective South Node in Cancer means that um, past memories are coming through. People are going back to their ancestry or something to do with the past, or um, it's like any sort of past things are coming through has a lot to do with family or any sort of things that are like pertaining to family, like the family drama. Like in the United States, the you guys the country of the United States, the chart, the birth chart of the United States has Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer in the seventh house. But the moon rules Cancer, and the moon was in Aquarius. So American culture, no offense to this, but American culture has this tendency of like you want security for the sake of security, but at the same time you're open to the change, and it's kind of there's a sort of like almost like a flip flopping back through between like uncertainty and security, uncertainty and security. It kind of shows up in like that's why UN, at least the government, the United States government has all that military stuff, right? Because it's about protection. The Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the what's the other one? There's four, right? That's like really like obsessively like protect, 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 right? So that's a very and but because of Jupiter there too, this is why there's a lot of American companies, a lot of businesses from the United States because of that. It's a cultural thing. It's the energy that came through when they signed when the country was finally said, oh, this is the United States of America, and then they signed the what is that? What do you call your
The
uh,
dec
Declaration of
the yeah, the Declaration of
Declaration of
Independence.
Independence? Yeah, yeah, yeah. When that was signed, it's like almost like poof, the universe went, poof, okay, this is now your energy. The United States was born. This is what it is. 1776, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, there you go. So about 300 years ago. So there's that energy. And that kind of makes sense why the South Node would have been. I'm just tying it to that because it feels like, it comes from that culture where it's like, it's not
Oh,
something that you decided, it's just kind of a collective thing. So, but
oh,
it was square to this placement right here, right? You have this one. I believe it is square right here. It's a square aspect to there's a part of you, there's a part of like that's where the police comes in. Okay, they wanted to make sure, they wanted to keep things in order, right? This is security, this is part of Cancer. um But there was also, yeah, and because of that, but there was also North Node here, which means to keep things in order, but also in a very like, it was almost like a militant experience. I don't know, did you, when you were arrested, did it feel like there's a part of you that was like, fascist? Like, was that going through, did you kind of sometimes think that about the United States? Like, sometimes they can become quite fascist. Sorry to say this, but
Oh yeah, I always
sorry,
think
not
that.
sorry.
Yeah. I always
Okay,
think that. Yeah.
there you go. So, yeah, that explains the square. So, okay. But the thing to learn about Osiris is that, so the story of Osiris is like when he was betrayed by his brother, which is kind of funny because he also betrayed his brother. He slept with his brother's wife,
Oh.
and so that pissed him off. And he tricked him. He tricked him into getting into this coffin. And I think he was like sort of subdued or something like that. And then Sethos, his brother, the one who was, he was really like, he's very vengeful. He's a very dark character. Um, so what he did, he tricks his brother Osiris into laying down in a coffin or something. And then after he basically, I think, subdued him. Maybe he was unconscious, and then he chopped him up.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think what did I forgot what he did. He tossed it somewhere. I forgot what it was. It was in reeds, or those reeds, the papyrus reeds or something. I don't remember, but something about when he got rid of the body, um, his wife and Osiris's wife Isis found his body parts, but there was one part missing: the penis. So Osiris represents rep replication. What do you call that? Crutches. What's another word for that? Um, Sorry, I should know this one. Not crutches. I keep thinking crutches, but it's not crutches. It's the oh, just gonna look it up here. I wrote it down. Osiris. What's that word I'm looking for? So he represents reanimation, um, maybe zombies, something like that, amputation, dismemberment. Sorry to bring up all these things, but that's
Oh,
what he
that's
is.
okay. Oh.
Crumbling, yeah, crumbling and breaking down of things, usually animate or inanimate. Um, Recivilization, but there's something else here. Replicas, cloning, delays. There's delays as well. Phallic symbols. There's that one word I'm looking for. Amputation before that. Uh, what's that thing called? Prosthetics. There you go. Found it. God. Yeah,
Oh.
Hebrews yeah, prosthetics. So any sort of prosthetics. Because I had to go through a little bit of that. A little bit. I had like these mouth stuff because I have an underbite. Um, but I don't know. But the key is to listen. I had to listen to these warnings, like the chart was showing me, like not warning, like, oh, be negative warning. I mean, like, I just had to be gentle with myself, with the way I speak, because this is a sensitive part. And so when I get very intense, I have Mercury, Uranus, Scorpio. So sometimes it's very intense, right? You have Mercury, Scorpio, so it means like you get quite intense with the way when you speak, especially when it's like passionate. You're passionate about it. Um,
Yeah.
but for you, it doesn't really pull much at anything except for like your view, how you present yourself to the world. That's usually what it is. Mine is like it's actually opposite of my Chiron, which means that if I don't balance the two together and being like learning to integrate the past and what lessons I can learn from it with how I speak and communicate today, especially when it's like all these ideas I get, it's like random and very like intense. If I don't balance the intensity with the lessons, Like it happens to me. Um, I'm surprised you're so it was just this area right here. Surprised, like, were your hands affected too? Your arms right here, were they affected?
No,
Oh,
no.
interesting. But you were bound, right? You were handcuffed.
Oh, yeah, I was in handcuffs. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
and they were behind my back too. So
Okay.
when I fell,
Okay.
my face hit first impact.
Okay. Yeah. Because I also see mm, 15. You definitely had like this a lot of help then from your friends. Did you have a lot of help from your friends? Feel like abundance is right here. It's
Yeah,
transiting your 11th house. Okay, that's good. Oh, and then there you had to go through the Pluto's right there, so you had to go through that. Like you had to learn the dark lessons behind all that. It's almost like the Pluto transiting your fifth house was telling you, is this the fun you really want to have?
yeah,
Right? It's like,
right.
because when we're younger, we just think fun is fun. Fun is material. Not always. Right? So Pluto was telling you just right there, okay, cool. Because if you don't, I think that maybe that's kind of what happened too when there's a part of you, when you're young, right? Just like you think you know everything, right?
Yeah, right.
Um, and that's, yeah, and so what happened was that was like square Mercury on its own, and then Osiris is there, and Pluto goes like, okay, you don't want to listen? Okay, here you go. This is probably what's gonna happen. So yeah, sorry to say that. Sorry, not sorry, but
Nope, you're right. That's exactly right.
yeah. Okay. What else is there? Let's see this chart here. I'm looking at all the squares. Aha, here we go. Pluto is there with the north node. No, no. These other ones right here on the right, that's all with something else. That's with the sixth house stuff. Okay, so now let's go into the actual sixth house right here. So health-wise, oops, sorry. Health-wise, there's it all starts right here. This little spot right here. So it does affect the sixth house. So on that day, you probably hmm, that's very strange. Um, a lot. There was a lot of things were going on, health wise, like physical health. Um, so one was some sort of like boundary, some sort of enclosure. Um, Let me look at this a little bit, little by little. So Circe rules. Sorry. Inner beliefs, inner procedure, witchcraft, seduction, with power, instruments, reverting lineages, feminism, architecture, generational knowledge. Nope. Nope. Maybe traps, where I don't know if there was some kind of feeling of feeling like an entrapment.
The night it happened,
Yeah.
or that day. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did. Well, yeah.
hmm Um, sorry. Cupid here represents Cupid is Cupid. But it's like he's sort of like kind of like he had to revert back your youthfulness. I think there's a kind of like they had to find a way to retain your youthfulness. I don't know if that's in the hospital. Youthfulness means like your rejuvenation. You had to go through some sort of rejuvenation process. And Themis here is I'm going to go to the medical still. Since it's backbone, spine, heart, ribs. Foster care. Oh, okay, that's the one. Maybe you had to go through a bit of foster care, like you had to be taken care of. Well, there's that's just the hospital, really, but maybe intensive care.
Well,
No.
well, I had my jaw wired shut, and my mom had to come and take care of me for a little while. But after that happened was when I had to get clean after 5 years of drug use. So I feel like that was a big process,
Yeah.
of rehabilitating my entire self.
Yeah. It does show also tragedy, so it felt kind of there. It felt kind of, in a ways, tragic for you. It was kind of you kind of maybe lost a sense of purpose and destiny
Yes.
because it's like it was an ending of one path of your life. That's where Lancelot comes in.
Yeah.
Uh, and then you had to learn from that. You were being guided by Angel. Angel does more than that. Angel is, or did you get some sort of like awakening? Some sort of like a sort of a sense of that? Like it's almost like, shit, I gotta start getting my shit together kind of thing.
Yes.
You okay. Okay. So it's almost like you had to be your own hero. Lance is also it's the superhero complex. That's Lance. Um, and then Lamia is that whole removal of the negativity, or the opposite. And in this case, removal from the negativity of your life. You're aborting the past. You're aborting things that were of no use to you anymore. Or it could have been also that you had the stomach thing again. I don't know if it was because there's a link between this area and your stomach. Like whatever goes through your mouth here, it affects the stomach. Lamia rules the stomach area. Digestion as well. You couldn't, right? Ah, okay, there you go. So you couldn't. What was this one? What was that degree in here? Lamia was 15 degrees 40 minutes. Interesting. Something about coils. Hold on 1 second here. Let's go back here. Wait, there's 6 tabs right here. So Lamia is 15 degrees right here. Nope, it's right here. It's around this area right here. So that means, but we looked at this one and I saw Alcesti there. Alcesti actually in Cerberus. So 1 second here. Maybe Lamia is not just, hold on, actually, let's go back to Alcesti. I didn't write anything for Alcesti. Okay. If it's something to do with coils, it's something like this or something like wrapping around. Something had to be wrapped around you. There was also Cerberus, which I believe is Something to do with. Ah, I was right. That's where the jaws come in. It wasn't just the mouth. This is specifically the jaw area. Molars, jaw. Yeah, stomach too, actually. In your immune system, possibly, in skin. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
molars for sure, and jaws. Yeah, did you say immune system?
Yeah,
Is it
well,
affected?
because of my drugs, I feel it affected my immune system.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So we had here Alcesti right here. You didn't see it. It's in a different chart. The reason why you're seeing separate charts, and I think I told you this before, is because when I go to Astrodean's, like the website, it's like I have a limit of 10 I can only work with, like in addition to their bank. I don't have everything in like one or two charts. I have to have like four charts or something like that. I'm like, okay. It's like it's almost like as if I can't read all of it. I'm like, yeah, I can. That's a good challenge. But the point is, okay, so going back to that, there was that you had to go through that. It was quite a bit of a challenge, of course. It was like just like, what the heck is going on here, right? So they had to wrap something around two in that area. I think it was like you had to have like the support maybe right here.
Gosh.
Something to do with wrapping or coils.
When they wired my jaw shut, they had to wrap things things around my teeth to put the wires in, like braces kind of around, does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Could that
yeah.
be what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
And
had
the
to have it
fact
wired shut.
and you had to get fed is it called intravenously? Was it no, not intravenously. Maybe? No.
No.
Um but there was a did you have to go through some sort of the snake probably explains that. The tube, did you have to get tube fed? Like fed through a tube?
Well, no, but when I
No.
had my jaw wired shut, I would suck food through a straw.
Ah, okay. So there, yeah. That explains the
Yeah.
coil in the snakes. That explains that.
Oh,
Okay. That's the
wow.
funny thing about astrology, right? It's like you go through these things, you're like, okay. That's the beautiful thing about the mythology. There's somehow it ties into everything is connected. It's beautiful.
It is
Um,
beautiful.
yeah. Hebe here represents the rejuvenation, the whole thing that you had to go through. You just had to heal. You had to take time to, yeah, recuperate. Something about collagen, something about tissue regeneration, of course. Maybe you had to did you get artificial skin? That shit?
No,
Okay, no. Ah, vocal cords. Was this affected?
um, not that I can think of, no.
Okay. Maybe cardiac, skeleton of the heart, bone grafts? Were there bone grafts?
I don't know what, maybe they did some of that in my jaw. I'm not really sure. They may have done
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
It was pretty
Mhm.
bad. It was three different places. Like it. Oh yeah, my chin. Yeah, my chin. Yeah, it was
Okay.
shattered.
Yeah, the jaw area for sure. That's Cerberus right there. Then you have Icarus there. I like the sixth house where I can just go through the little bits and pieces and not really have to connect all of them. When it comes to the other more uh, abstract, you symbolic houses, those are kind of like I have to really process the meaning behind it. But this one's a little easier. It's like very straightforward. Um, and this, of course, with that being the case, this was because of a premature or sort of and sorry to say this, but not sorry, but the risk you took to do what you did earlier, right? You said you ran. That makes sense. You ran from it, right? So disconnection from truth. That's probably it too. You ran from the whole like, okay, you were because they said you were speeding, but I was like, no, I don't want to be because there's a part of you that doesn't want to be. There's your sun in Scorpio. It rules the eighth house. Eighth house is like when we get in trouble. The eighth house has a lot to do right here. has a lot, sorry, this has a lot to do with not only trouble, but like, um, what do you call that? Fears, like things that we're deathly scared of. It is the house of death for a reason, right? And Scorpio knows that feeling of like death. This sort of, this is why it gets defensive, right? But the goal of the real energy from Scorpio is to release all that. That's why there are Scorpios out there that will risk everything to feel that catharsis of death. It's not dying. It's not because you hate your life. It's because you want that release from the limitations of the body, right? Right. So yeah, that do you get what I'm saying? Like I know you get what I'm saying. So I don't. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do.
Um. hmm. And then there was also Hera. Hera is basically jealousy, but it's that's the symbolic meaning behind it. But Hera, come on, Hera. Here, Hera, Hera. Here, Hera. Okay. Um, something about uh, self-righteousness, possessiveness, control. Okay, that kind of ties in with that. But on this, in the sixth house, okay, of course, bones. So the jawbone, that makes sense with Cerberus there. Cerberus was in the 10th house, but up here. Cerberus was right up here. But it was square this, so that means that, yeah, so there's that bone thing here. And then this is Lilith. I'm not going to go through that, but Nessus was still in that, still in the sixth house. But Nessus is potential for abuse. That's what they say, but trauma. So you had to go through that. It was trauma. Yeah. Um,
So this was destined to happen then, right? Is that what
I
you're
wouldn't
saying?
say that. Well, no. Here's the thing about what cards will show. It's just like anything in life. There's a potential for something to happen. Remember, I told you that astrology is a language of probability. So when we listen, this is why we're now heading towards a change in humanity where we have to be present and not have to, but it's part of our evolution that we are coming to terms with this. Life after life after life after life, reincarnation after reincarnation. This, if the soul doesn't learn, it will repeat the lessons. Um, but what it means for us individually and collectively is that when we're present and we listen to the connection, what happens is that we start to know when the time is right. Because a lot of times the ego wants to be like rush, rush, rush. I gotta get this. I gotta solve this. I gotta clean this. I gotta make sure this is perfect. I gotta make all for the sake of preservation. The ego doesn't care what it attaches itself to. It could be identification of things, it's identification of spirituality, even identification of beliefs, identification of career, all of it, any and all of it. The ego will do that. But the ego is not the enemy. It's a reminder that we need to find healthy ways to express our needs, our basic needs. This is why I mentioned earlier with the inner child stuff, the healing, that when we go deep into the memory, we can do the chaos there, so that because when we were children, actually, even from the very first day we're born, it's trauma because we're taken away from our comfort zone. Because the thing about trauma is that it's actually physical. Trauma is actually a physical thing. But with being human, we attach trauma to beliefs in our head. So what happens is we get stuck here, and then we never release the traumatic, physical, somatic, like it gets lodged in, it gets stuck in there. So what happens is that when we experience the memory attached to the beliefs and the memory and the thoughts of what happened, whether we remember it or not, it links to the line that we're living in this current path, in this lifetime, this current body. And then it becomes this sort of like, it goes back to that, goes back to that, it goes back to that. It's like a signal. It's like a oh, warning, 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 right? And then the ego uses that. The ego is that whole thing. It's just it's a defense mechanism. So when you go back to that memory, whether we remember it or not, it's still there. And it becomes this, as we get older, we wonder, it's like, oh, I had this traumatic experience. Oh, I had this traumatic experience. So your trauma that you experience with this one is more about the trauma you experience from the collective's human, what do you call this, mishmash, or the influence and the effects of the collective unconscious of when we are in sort of like defense mode or fight or flight, whatever. Memories not only start coming back up, but the fact that that one basic thing of being taken out of the womb, that one trauma means that we did not get that validation, or at least some babies don't. But babies, most of us, the mother hugs us, right? That's what our bodies really want. So when we're close to the mother, like really close, like super close, like right here, like, and you go like this, the baby feels safe again. It's almost like back in the womb. That in itself is a form of validation. So technically, being born is not necessarily like a lifelong trauma thing, but there is a part of it too there.
Hmm.
It's connected, especially if the baby was just taken away, or let's say the mother died, or the baby was taken away. That carries through further life, like in life. It carries on over. So it's like, oh, then we wonder, it's like, why did I feel that? Why do I have a reaction because of that? The connection to the belief that we developed was actually rooted not in a belief in thought and perception, but the actual physiological and physical lodged memory.
Mm.
Yeah. I would say, because many people do get their mothers, like, or whoever their parents are, they get nurtured from the moment they're born, right? To say they're close to their parents, specifically the mothers. And then, but after that, um, I think all traumas are kind of, I wouldn't say learned, I wouldn't say that, but kind of. It's almost like it still comes, it's still rooted in that trauma itself from being born. But here's the other thing: being born, or rather trauma itself, is not actually, I personally feel like it's not just rooted in that whole thing of being born and taken away from something comfortable, but the fact that you're changing form also is a trauma. The trauma isn't actually bad. Trauma is just a shock. Well, that's really what a trauma is. It's a shock. And how your body responds to it depending on what choices are made or what actions are taken, so that that trauma becomes released. Some animals, in the animal kingdom, some like gazelles, they jump like this, they go crazy like this. That's because they're trying to release the physical trauma. Birds, they flap their wings after a fight, right? I think certain animals, like fish in the water, they'll do like a runaround sort of thing. They'll try to release it, do anything. I think dolphins do that when they jump over the water like that. I think, I'm not sure, but either way, it's released naturally in nature. We are the only species on this planet where we don't release the trauma. We
Okay.
lodge it in, we get stuck in. Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's not good, right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes memory, and it becomes memory, and more memory, and more memory, and memory. Even if we don't remember the memory, it's subconscious. So it's, yeah. So
Yeah.
so that's why sometimes it helps to like, better if it's like right after the traumatic experience, that the trauma gets released. Um, it's better to get it released as soon as possible. So if that means like screaming, breaking a vase, I don't know, doing something, right, to release that energy. Dancing. This is why exercise, working out, cold showers, dancing. These are called eustress. Eustress actually helps to train the body to deal with the stress and therefore get used to the trauma, the shock, and be familiar with it and be like, oh, okay, this is trauma. Okay. And away from the overthinking belief that, that the ego attaches itself to. Right? So, anyways, so that
Thank
whole
you.
trauma, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hey, Jose,
yeah.
I just want to remind you your appointment at 6:30, right?
Yes,
Do you
that's
want,
right. So,
should we maybe continue this next time, or what do you
yeah,
want to
we
do?
can. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'll see you later.
All
Okay.
right,
Have a
bye
good
bye.
night.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too. Bye.